Hi everyone. What you just heard was the beautiful tender sounds of Insulatus by ADIO. Insulatus in its definition means soft and tender, and this choir library has been hand-tailored for this more intimate and soft style. You can find similar sort of sounds in works of Jeremy Soule, notably in Skyrim, Eric Whitacre in works such as Deepfield. This is actually one of the first choir libraries, at least that I've come across, that has a function called multi-phrase crossovers or polyphonic legato. What this means is that you play a chord and the phrase can continue over to other notes. There has to be a note that lingers and connects through as a sustain with a second chord. So in the design of this library, ADIO selected 40 male and 25 female singers, and they actually used a new method of sampling that allows fluent and effortless playability. So these patches here, called the arc syllables, are a new, unique evolution to ADIO's libraries. Basically, this creates natural swelling arcs and the ability to control how many syllable changes you have throughout the arc. So for example, 2, 3, or 4. So if you have a look within the patches list, we have arc 2, 3, 4 with unique different syllables to each and every one of them. Insulatus also has a velocity-based true legato, and then these patches are very unique. They're called multivowels. Multivowels are dynamically sampled, both in velocity and with natural swell motions. Now they also have shorts and sustains, and some effects for tonal to yell. Now there is also a sequencer built in, and this is an advanced phrase builder, allowing you to create up to 64 strings of syllables. If we go over to the mixer page, we see here that there are 8 different microphone positions. We have mix, decatry, far, wide, and 4 spot mics. The library revolves around a deep set of meticulously sampled articulations. The supplied phrase builder allows the ability to create highly realistic choral passages. What you just heard before had a little bit of external processing, and I did tweak a few little parameters within Insulatus, and this helps to blur and stop what we call the breathing effect. Now, if you go to options here, you can see there are several parameters. Legato intensity, so the legato actual sample they recorded can be individually leveled using this parameter. We have a release function, which I like to bring a fair bit up, as this allows the natural sound of the room tone to fall and blur between samples. And then you have your usual dynamics and expression mapped to CC1 and CC7. So as I mentioned before about the breathing effect, this release setting actually helps to avoid this. Now the multiple mic positions can also help to prevent this issue. If you don't know what this issue is, it's the sound of when you play a chord and then you let go of the notes and restart notes, it will just jump down to the beginning of the volume again, hence the term breathing effect. So what I like to do is actually add a convolution reverb of some kind. I've chosen Altiverb for this example, placed it within a cathedral. This is pretty interesting. You can actually look around and have a look at the general architecture of the room. Placing it in a large space like this helps. This helps to soften the transitions and artificial imperfections, like that breathing effect. So multiple mic positions help to craft your sound. However, I find that external processing helps to elevate the emotional response of the library. When applying convolution reverbs, often the natural frequency nodes and fundamentals become accentuated, so EQ and soft compression can help to soften these changes. So I've just put on a tiny little EQ, just a Bell EQ at 900 Hz with a bit of dynamic range to prevent any frequency nodes or things like that. Insulatus is an excellent one-of-a-kind library for choral writing. You can hear the sheer passion and commitment ADIO and their team went to in order to create this beautiful, tender choral library. We as composers are always incredibly grateful and fascinated by new creative technological advancements, whether that's UI, sampling process, scripting, or even the creative mixing techniques that I'd like to introduce. From my perspective, choirs unfortunately don't get the same common utilization in film music. Choirs have a specific dramaturgic function commonly associated with it. However, due to the meticulously well sampled sounds, you have the ability to shape and craft new instruments that don't necessarily resemble choirs. You could create pad-like swells using the inbuilt effects and external processes to design sounds that would much more be usable for common purposes in film or multimedia projects. The versatility is boundless, and this library sets out to inspire and create. When choral writing, however, is required, this library should be definitely on your list, as it's A-class material suitable for large ranges of composition. In this example, I will show you what kind of pad-like swells you can create using external processes and internal processes. This particular patch is the Arc 4 syllables using the default articulation, and I have a few creative effects to re-sculpt this sound into something else. Now, if I were to disable these plugins and show what it sounds like dry, we have our choir again. However, we can use some of the inbuilt effects to manipulate and filter and change the sound into something a little bit more creative. So for example, if we turn on our filter, create a low pass and a high pass with our vintage on, we have something that doesn't necessarily resemble a choir. Now, if we turn on the degrader, add a touch of distortion and drive, we have more tension. Now, key control is helpful because you can change the general volume, panning, fine tune, and coarse tune, and these can be routed by any CC automation. So for example, I might want to automate this, and so I'll just learn this to some kind of parameter. The only issue here is that it snaps to semitones, which we don't want. So instead, what we'll do is route the fine tuning to this parameter. And then you can just simply hit record. And there we have a sound. Immediately we have a lot more interest and tonal qualities that are a little bit more ambiguous. Our filtering allows us to not distinctly hear that it's a choir, but you can still feel that its vocal-like qualities are coming through. So I recommend Insulitis to any composer out there wanting to write choral music. It's incredibly versatile. It has a long list of patches and tools at your disposal. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.